Hey yo, what is up everybody? Danny here. Wanted to jump on and put together this video just to help give everybody a little bit more shape, an explanation on what our next training cycle is going to look and feel like, the reason why it is we're programming how we are, and what you guys can look forward to in the next few weeks. So our Wodapalooza training cycle begins this next Monday, Halloween. The reason why it's so important that we emphasize the fact that we are preparing for an in-person competition is because the style of our program design will change considerably from last cycle into this cycle. Now, let me come out and say that we understand that spots at Wodapalooza and some of these events are shrinking tremendously. I actually think that's a good thing, even though we have, some people who didn't have the opportunity to qualify. However, there's a couple things I want to touch on. Number one, if you have goals and aspirations in competing in this sport, it's very important that you have opportunities to experience and dose what preparation for events like that is all about. Also, right after our event prep, our open prep will begin. And we will have several elements throughout this next training cycle that look and feel like open prep, that will start patterning and put us in a really good position to be as fit as we can for the open. So regardless if you've qualified or not, this is still a huge part of your training year. Also, there's a ton of events that are coming up around Wodapalooza, not in South Florida, but all around the world, all around the United States. So if you are a follower of our program and you are qualified for another event, this is still a great training cycle for you to participate in. Okay. And the way that we're structuring it and the athlete notes that we're leaving give us a lot of opportunity to give more shape to you guys, that you can change things based off your division, based off the event that you're qualified for, et cetera, et cetera. So let's try to make this short and sweet. Some of these things you guys have heard. We've put some of this stuff out in old videos as well, but we kind of just wanted to summarize everything for everyone in one clear, hopefully short video. So first thing I'm going to talk about is daily minimums. In our last training cycle, we built a lot of volume and we trained a lot of technique in the Olympic lifts, which was great. We finished this training cycle with touching some heavy singles this previous week. And now we're going to go into something that's called daily minimum. Daily minimum is the heaviest you can go on a regular basis while staying technically proficient. Over time in a training cycle, our daily minimums will change. So for example, let's say in this training cycle, I begin my training cycle and I'm noticing that, oh wow, I can hit a 200 snatch every day. As we progress in this training cycle, the expectation is that daily minimum will increase. Not necessarily increase, and we won't necessarily be pushing PRs and maximums, but our daily minimum will increase. The concept behind this is we want everyone to have a minimum right off the back of their hand that they know they can hit with very minimal attempts. That environment tends to show itself often in qualifiers and also probably more than qualifiers in an in-person competition where we have suboptimal opportunities to warm up and we're still expected to perform. So the concept of DMs, of daily minimums, we love to push during our competition preparation cycle. Okay, so we will reference this often on a weekly basis. We will say, build to your DM, no misses allowed, right? And over time, you'll notice as you gain confidence and as you build volume, you can push those DMs. And for some of you guys, those are going to be very heavy, 80, 85%. Some of you folks will be as efficient and you'll be able to push up to 90%. And again, as the training cycle progresses, we'll push those numbers more and more and more, hitting multiples, hitting complexes at our daily minimums. Okay, that will segue into my next topic, which is battery work. Having the best 1 rep max in the training room is awesome. Olympic lifts are sexy. Everybody wants to be the strongest in the gym. However, that's not where CrossFit lives. That's not where our sport lives. Our sport lives in that 90% range for most folks. So it's great that you have a big 1 rep max, but what we really want to know is how repeatable you are at high percentages of your 1 rep max. That's where this sport lives. That's the environment that we want to foster and push as we progress in this training cycle. So battery work becomes very important. For us, how do we define battery work? Again, battery work is how efficient you can be, right? So we will set up environments where we will ask you to hit very high percentages of your 1-rep maxes for multiples and EMOMs. And as we progress, you'll see that we use those percentages in some of our working pieces. So for example, we may ask you to build up to a heavy power clean and then use a percentage of that power clean in your mixed piece, rather than using the arbitrary 135, 95, 185, 155, whatever the ratio may be. In battery work, we use percentages of weights that you just hit in that session. That gives us an opportunity to personalize your training a little bit more and make it be a little bit more relative to what you have the ability to do. That's something that we also really believe in these training cycles, is battery work. Something else we're going to focus on is sport specificity in the way of gymnastics, but also in our event preparation. So sport specificity in gymnastics looks like exactly what that sounds. It's the kind of gymnastics that we see in competition. That's the style of gymnastics that we will start building and dose more and more and more as our training cycle increases. So we'll likely see less strict work, and we'll see more kipping work, more complexes on the rings and on the bar, etc., etc. Like I said before, also event style pieces. We're going to ask that everyone, whenever possible, and as long as you're not disrupting the coaches at your gym and your affiliate, you want to try and set up an environment that's as consistent as you can with the event that you're competing in. So think about smaller lanes, shorter lanes. Think about setting up your lane that's consistent with a competition. That's an environment that is very important to prepare as we get closer and closer. The last thing that I'd like to touch on is this concept called repeated exposure. So an event like a Wodapalooza, for example, they program and set their schedule that's consistent with the elite division, right? So like you'll notice the elite divisions, they won't have to push back-to-back or in back-to-back workouts. They won't likely, do two high rep squatting workouts back-to-back. But for the other divisions, that has to change. So we start to feature that in our training program as well. Again, this concept of repeated exposure. You don't have the ability to say, sorry, Wodapalooza staff, I just did heavy push presses in workout 1, handstand push-ups in workout 2, not the best idea. For training, that's not the best idea. However, we need to set you guys up so you can thrive in an environment like that, because we don't always have that luxury. And oftentimes, many of you guys will have to perform in this sub-maximal or in this environment that's not as ideal for you to thrive in, right? So normally, we like to separate how often we press and squats, etc., etc., etc. We won't likely give you a high volume squat day after we're doing high volume squats in our strength portion, etc. However, we'll start to change that a little bit in this training cycle. So you'll notice multiple workouts in week 1, for example, that have high volume wall balls. That's intentional. That's not an oversight on our behalf. We're doing that purposefully and intentionally. All right. As we progress, we'll start posting more notes. We'll start, educating you guys a little bit more via video and in our WhatsApp groups. If you have any questions, by all means, please post. Let us know on IG, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Good luck to you guys. Peace.